So just when you thought the damage control efforts for the Katy Perry backlash associated with the spaceflight by Blue Origin couldn't get any worse, well, it just did. Now, we already know that Katy Perry is fully embracing herself with the upcoming Lifetimes tour, a tour, by the way, that is already struggling with ticket sales as we speak. That's exactly why Katy Perry herself and her entire team, they are currently in full-on panic mode over exactly what's going on with the ticket sales, and there has been a sudden decline ever since the whole Blue Origin spaceflight and everything associated with it, when the actual backlash went viral, not just across social media, but also in the mainstream media. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new, and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. So one thing about Katy Perry right now is that, yes, not only is she engaging herself in damage control in the poorest way possible, I must add, but we also know that at the same exact time, she's trying to own the backlash in the worst way possible. And it's not working for her in the end, and it's going to only create more problems in the months to come. Now, in case you guys did not know, the Lifetimes tour for Katy Perry, it's going to stretch all the way throughout the entirety of 2025, and they're already trying to incorporate the Blue Origin spaceflight into her upcoming tour. Let's discuss. Now, what's interesting about all this is that, yes, we already know that Katy Perry is still doubling down on everything that actually went, of course, along with the spaceflight and the backlash that came along with it. She's trying to really go against the critics. She's trying to actually call out the overall criticism, and it's not working. It's only making matters worse for herself, and it's also backfiring on Jeff Bezos and Blue Origin as a whole, and even Amazon. But let's get into the overall details. Now, with the Katy Perry backlash already snowballing ever since her team called out Wendy's, one major development going on now involves more to do with Perry's Lifetimes tour and how tickets just are not selling in certain markets in the midst of the Blue Origin spaceflight backlash, as she begins to lose many of her own fans. It turns out that a sudden development that is now in the works, that was started by Katy Perry herself and her entire team, involves how they are already planning to show exclusive footage, get this, of her spaceflight with Blue Origin during her upcoming concerts while she performs many of her songs. To make matters worse for Perry, not only doubling down on her obviously of using the spaceflight for her attention, but also acting very hypocritical after she expressed that she regretted taking part in the spaceflight to begin with. Now, already Perry is planning to actually share exclusive stories in between songs at her upcoming concerts starting in May and throughout the summer in an attempt to bring in concertgoers, as ticket sales are currently snagging in specific markets significantly for Katy Perry. Now, this is all said to be a marketing stunt by Perry and her entire team to boost ticket sales, and will also be announced in the coming weeks about the exclusive stories and footage that will be shown at some of the upcoming concerts that will focus on her Blue Origin spaceflight. To make matters even worse, and how this will certainly create more backlash, that she is even planning to actually have some of her own fashion designers and those that handle her wardrobe to specifically create a costume for 3 of her shows that will actually emulate the Blue Origin spacesuit that will honor the company and Jeff Bezos. Now, the poor marketing campaign is best described to be Katy Perry and her team's last resort to boost ticket sales, as they are struggling with selling tickets and seats for upcoming shows, especially now as she is continuing to lose fans over her recent damage control efforts related to this backlash over her spaceflight and how she actually acted both before and after that flight. Now, she is already in the pre-planning phase of bringing on Gayle King on stage live during some of her upcoming shows to share exclusive stories about their experience together, and even invited Jeff Bezos to come on stage for some of her concerts for a couple of her shows in the near future. However, Bezos and his decision was not made final as of yet. Now, Perry and her team right now, they are reportedly frantic over ticket sales not meeting anywhere near expectations, and they have reportedly witnessed a sudden decline ever since the Blue Origin backlash went viral, not just due to social media, but also the mainstream media calling out Perry and the entire team, and how everything was orchestrated on live television. Now, guys, before I move on, let me just say one thing about this. Now, it's one thing to do what she's doing with Jeff Bezos right now. We already talked about this in the last post about how They are attempting to create a documentary series for Amazon Prime Video that's going to share exclusive, never before seen behind the scenes footage, preparing for the flight, gearing up for the flight, and even during as well, to create that into a documentary between Katy Perry, Jeff Bezos, Gayle King, his fiance, all these different aspects. But it's another thing to incorporate all of this nonsense into your upcoming concerts tour, alright, the Lifetimes tour, and to use that as a marketing stunt to boost ticket sales. Now, look, I don't know how this is going to fly, but I'm almost certain that it's really going to backfire. It's going to create more backlash, and if anything, it's really going to snag a lot of ticket sales even further in specific markets throughout the entire country. There's no doubt about that. But again, we know that Katy Perry is also acting very hypocritical. At one moment, she's saying she fully regrets going up there in space, quote unquote, and now, out of the blue, no pun intended, she's really trying to double down on the marketing of that flight to incorporate that with her overall space flight and her concert, the Lifetimes tour. The fact that she's already actually working with her, fashion designers and everything to do with her wardrobe to honor the Blue Origin spaceflight by creating a new upcoming fashion set for her upcoming tour to kind of honor that spaceflight suit. I think it's another story that tells everything that needs to be told right now, that she really did this for attention. She really did this right from the get-go to kind of boost her relevance as a singer, as a performer, whatever have you. It was all pre-planned right from the get-go, alright? It's pretty much obvious at this point. Now, this is said to be one of the few last resorts for Perry to boost her ticket sales, and to also own the Backlash. However, those close to Perry are reportedly warning her to not pursue this path, as they actually view it will backfire even harder on her concert sales. Her Lifetimes tour is already taking a major hit as it is. Now, look, this thing is going to stretch all the way to December at least, I believe. I think it's going until like mid-December of this year for the Lifetimes tour, and it's going to be interesting to see how many shows out of all of them are going to bring up exclusive footage in between songs of her flight to, of course, or through Blue Origin, and all of these different things of bringing up these never before told stories about her training, so-called training, and everything that geared up to the flight, right? So this is typically what some performers do in between songs. They tell stories, they tell exclusive stories, specifically for their audience. Well, now she's incorporating a lot of that with her audience for specific shows for the Blue Origin spaceflight. And I think, like I said before, this is a living piece of proof that she did this right from the beginning, to use the spaceflight as a marketing stunt or as a publicity stunt. Even though she tried to debunk that, she tried to say, oh, this is not a publicity stunt, I just wanted to do this, to kind of just experience it just for the sake of doing so. I think that when she was just looking into the camera for a very long time, instead of looking out the window, it told us everything as well. But overall, I would like to hear what everyone has to say about the whole Katy Perry fiasco and everything else going on between herself and Blue Origin. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.